All right, let's jump right in. Have you ever been caught in a debate about public health? Things like vaccine mandates or even taxes on sugary drinks? It can get pretty confusing, right? Super emotional. And it often feels like we're all just talking in circles. It's like we're all looking at the same set of facts, but somehow arguing past each other completely. You're definitely not alone if you felt that way. And that just begs the question, right? When we're clashing over these policies, are we really disagreeing about the science? I mean, is that it? Or is there something deeper going on? Something kind of hidden, just under the surface, that's actually driving all this conflict? Okay, so let's start by looking at the conflicts we all know so well. I'm talking about the stuff you see on the news, the arguments that pop up at family dinners. When you really look at them, they almost always seem to boil down to one single fundamental tension. And this is the central battle, the main event. On one side, you've got individual autonomy, the freedom to make your own health choices. And on the other side, you have the collective good, the idea that we all need to do things to benefit the entire community, even if it means some individual sacrifice. And think about it. Vaccine mandates, quarantines, those soda taxes, they're all battlegrounds where these two incredibly powerful values just slam into each other. But why is that collision so intense? Why does it get so heated? Well, it turns out there's actually a hidden framework that explains the whole thing. And honestly, once you see it, these fights start to make a whole lot more sense. So think about it. If both sides are often looking at the exact same data, the same science, what's really going on? What's the invisible force here that's shaping these totally different conclusions? There's got to be something else at play. And the answer has a name. It's called axiology. Now, I know it sounds super academic, but trust me, it's an incredibly powerful idea. All axiology is, really, is the study of our values. It's about what we as a society decide as good, or desirable, or worthy. You can think of it as the invisible engine running underneath all of our public health decisions. And this is a great way to picture it. It's like an iceberg. The policies and debates we see every day, that's just the tip. But underneath the surface, there's this massive, unseen foundation of axiology. That's where our competing ideas about what's right, what's just, and frankly, whose well-being matters most, that's where they all live. And these are the unexamined values that are truly shaping everything. And here's the real kicker, the key insight. Public health isn't some neutral, objective science. Nope, it's a moral enterprise. That means every single decision involves a choice about which values we're going to prioritize, and, just as importantly, whose suffering we're going to make visible and actually do something about. Now, what's really crucial to understand is that these values aren't set in stone, not at all. They've changed, and I mean dramatically over time. So to really get a grip on the conflicts we're seeing today, we've got to take a quick look back at the history of what we even thought the good was in public health. Okay, so let's do a quick trip back in time. Back in the 19th century, the big idea was utilitarianism. The focus was all on the greatest happiness for the greatest number. Things like sanitary reforms weren't just about health. They were justified because they made the economy more productive and kept social order. Then you fast forward to after World War II. After seeing some truly horrific medical atrocities, the whole focus shifts. Bioethics takes center stage, and it becomes all about protecting individual rights, autonomy, the idea of do no harm. You see this baked into things like the Nuremberg Code. And then, from the 1980s until now, there's been another huge shift. We're now in a more justice-oriented era, where health is reframed as a fundamental human right, and that pushes values like equity, participation, and social justice right to the forefront. So why does this history lesson matter? Well, because it's not really history. All of these different value systems, utilitarianism, individual rights, social justice, they're all still very much alive and kicking today. And they are clashing right now in the middle of our modern health debates. Let's look at a perfect example, the clash between efficiency and equity. An efficiency mindset is all about getting the most bang for your buck, prioritizing solutions that help the most people for the lowest cost. Makes sense, right? But then the equity mindset steps in and asks, wait a minute. Does that cost-effective solution leave behind people with disabilities, or the elderly, or other marginalized groups? See, they're both really valid goals, but they can point us toward completely different policies. And we see another huge tension between what we could call global justice and local justice. On one hand, you have this value of global solidarity, the idea that wealthy nations have a humanitarian duty to help people beyond their own borders. But on the other hand, there's that very powerful, very real tendency for nations to put their own self-interest first, especially during a crisis. I mean, we all saw this play out in real time during the global pandemic. And finally, there's this constant tug of war between focusing on individual behavior versus systemic factors. One side focuses on personal choices, running campaigns telling people to eat better or quit smoking. But the risk there, as critics point out, is that it can slide into victim blaming. The other side says, no, we need to look upstream. They focus on the big social and economic things that shape health, like poverty or whether people can even get access to care in the first place. Okay, so if we're constantly stuck in the middle of these value clashes, is there a way out? What's the solution here? Well, let's take a look at what a path forward might look like, one that could lead to a more honest and maybe even more effective public health system. The key is a concept called axiological integrity. Again, sounds a little fancy, but the idea is actually pretty straightforward. It just means we need to stop pretending that our public health decisions are purely scientific. Instead, we have to get really explicit and thoughtful about the values that are actually guiding them.
So what does that actually look like in practice? Well, first, it means being transparent. Policymakers have to come out and clearly say, okay, here are the values we're prioritizing in this decision. Second, it means being reflexive. We have to intentionally question our own values and assumptions to make sure they're actually serving justice. And third, it means being deliberative, actually engaging in open, public conversations to make sure our policies are serving human dignity and helping everyone flourish.
And that really brings us to the final and most crucial point. Just acknowledging that these values exist, that's not enough. We have to actively examine them. We have to debate them. We have to hold them up to the light for everyone to see. Because only then can public health ever hope to fulfill its real promise, to create a healthier and a more just world for all of us.
And so that leaves us with a pretty big question to think about. If we accept that health is a moral enterprise and not just a scientific one, then maybe the most important question we can possibly ask is this: what values should be guiding us as we try to shape the future of our collective health and well-being?